Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you are fine. In our lecture today, we will discuss sense poetic devices. This lecture includes sense poetic devices, definition, types that are simile, personification, symbol, and metaphor, along with extended metaphor. Well, now sense poetic devices. We have simile, personification, symbol, metaphor, and extended metaphor. First of all, what do sense poetic devices refer to? Well, actually, these devices refer to poetic devices, that is to say, figures of speech, which consist of simile, metaphor, and personification. So, the main types of sense poetic devices are simile, personification, symbol, metaphor, and extended metaphor. Well, I will start with the first sense poetic device, which is called simile. So, what is a simile? Well, simile is an explicit comparison or similarity between two things by using one of the words, as, like, or such. For example, your face is like a sun. Here we are comparing the face to the sun, meaning that the face now is shining like a sun. So here we have simile, similarity. Well, our literary example, which is from William Wordsworth's poem, it is a beauteous evening, calm and free. So it is a beauteous evening, calm and free. The holy time is quiet as none, breathless with adoration. Here, the poet is explicitly comparing the evening to the nun. He is claiming that the darkness and the quietness of the evening is like the nun. And here, the poet uses the word as, means similarity. So how can the nun be similar to the evening, to the darkness and the quietness of the evening? This is what we will know about in the next slide. Okay, in the explanation, we have the comparison. So by comparing the evening with the praying nun, Wordsworth, the author of these lines, brings forward certain obvious resemblances that justify the comparison. The purpose of the simile? Well, the nun and the evening are both calm, quiet. The nun's dark habit resembles the darkness of the evening. However, the real purpose of the simile is to relay the feelings appropriate to the nun to the beauteous evening, thus conveying a sense of scared mystery the poet feels in it. And thus, simile is one of the 10 poetic devices used in order to show an explicit comparison, that is to say, similarity between two things, by using words like as, such, or like. Moving on to the next sense poetic device, which is personification. So, what is a personification? Well, as a matter of fact, personification means to give inanimate objects human qualities, or to give human attributes to non-human things or objects. For example, if I have a chair, it is an inanimate object. I can give it human qualities. For example, by making this chair speaks like humans, by giving it eyes, nose, and mouth, as in cartoons, inanimate objects can speak. Here we have personification. On the other hand, personification also can be a representation of an abstract quality or notion as a human being. So, a personification can be used also with abstract ideas. Okay? When I am treating these ideas like human being, what does this mean? This, what we will know in our example in the next slides. For example, in her poem The Chariot, Emily Dickinson said, "Because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me." Actually, in these two lines, we have personification because we have an abstract idea which is death. And with this abstract idea, we use the pronoun it because it is an inanimate object or thing. However, Dickinson uses the pronoun he instead of it in order to define death. Also, she gave death human quality by using the adjective kind. And this is so clear in the word kindly. So what is the function of personification here? Well, the explanation of these two lines shows that we have personification. So, in these two lines, Dickinson treats death as if it was a human being who can understand her and treat her gently as a bridegroom would treat his bride. Also, in these lines, death is given a human quality, which is very kind. The story: Emily Dickinson was in love with a young man who was working for her father. They agreed to get married, but death was nearer to him than marriage and took him before he could come back and get married to Emily. Therefore, The only way for her to meet her lover again is to die. Thus, in these lines, she treats death as if he was a gentleman who comes to take her to her lover. That's why she gave death a human quality, which is very kind, and also she referred it with the pronoun he. So the function of personification here is that death will be like a human being, like a gentleman who will come to Emily in order to take her to her lover. Okay, now moving on to another sense poetic device, which is symbol. So, what is a symbol? Well, in reality, it is a figure of speech, refers to an ordinary object, event, animal, or person to which we have attached extraordinary meaning and significance. For example, we have national flags, refers to their countries, military uniforms and crosses are all symbols. Well, our literary example, which is from William Shakespeare's play Antony and Cleopatra. Now, from head to foot, I am marble constant. Now, the fleeting moon, no planet, is of mine. Here we have the symbol of moon, which is contrasted to the word constant. How come? So the explanation of these lines shows poetic symbolism. So a typical instance of poetic symbolism occurs in Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra, when Cleopatra, having decided to kill herself, declares that she will remain firm in her intention. So the symbol here is, as I have just said, the moon. Because of its changing phases, the moon is used here, as it often is in Shakespeare, as a symbol of unfaithfulness or indecision, because it is changing. So Cleopatra is saying that it is inappropriate to her mood of determination. So the moon is a symbol of unfaithfulness because of its changing phases, which is contrasted to Cleopatra, who is always marble constant. So a symbol is one of the main sense poetic devices. So moving on to other sense poetic devices like metaphor and extended metaphor. Now, what is a metaphor? Well, as I have just said regarding to simile, simile is an explicit comparison or similarity between two things. Here, metaphor is an implicit comparison between two different things or objects. It is used to emphasize some points of similarity between these two things. In other words, metaphor is used in order to see certain aspect of something through the use of another thing, which is totally different. For example, the expression, he is the apple of my eye. There is, of course, no apple in someone's eye. The apple is someone held dear. And here we have a metaphor. Also, in addition to metaphor, we have an extended metaphor. So what is an extended metaphor? Well, it is a metaphor which covers a whole poem or great part of it. And this what we will see in our literary example, which is the poem What is Our Life? So a vivid example for metaphor and extended metaphor is Sir Walter Ralph's poem What is Our Life? That was the end of our lecture today. For further reading, please refer to this reference. Next lecture, we will analyze the poem What is Our Life? Thank you very much for your time and good luck.